Hey everybody, it's Dr. Smith, and I'm here today to continue our conversation about advertising. We've looked at some different aspects of advertising, but today I want to look at a particular concept that you probably use every day, but you're not aware of it. It's called positioning. Now, positioning refers to the spot in your brain that a particular product or service or company actually owns. So in other words, what they really want is for when that company's name or that product is mentioned, that it triggers a particular expectation in your mind. Let's say, for instance, I say, what do you think about when I say the word McDonald's? Okay, here's what I think about with McDonald's. Fries. Yummy hot fries. But I have other expectations also. For instance, I know that there's not going to be a server who's going to come by and take my order. I'm going to have to go up to the counter, right? It's going to be inexpensive food. It's not going to cost me a whole lot to eat there. It's not going to be the best dining experience in the world. Although my 5-year-old seems to like it a lot. Okay? Fries are good. Okay, so we have an idea of what our expectation is regarding McDonald's. So let's think about a different restaurant. What if I said Outback? Okay, so I'm guessing that when you think about Outback restaurant, you think about a very different kind of experience than you do with McDonald's. You think about a restaurant where you go in and you sit down, they have nice laminated menus, there's a server who comes to the table and takes your order. And they have really honking big knives. You know, I have to say that the first time I went to Outback, I was just really taken with how huge the knives are. But there's a reason for that, right? First, it's part of the shtick because it's in Australia kind of restaurant, but also because they have supposedly really big, thick steaks. So if you think about the types of food that are served at McDonald's and the types of food that are served at Outback, then you're looking at some very different things. And so these restaurants occupy different places in your brain. I can't tell you specifically where they are in your brain, but I just know that the expectations are very different for each of these restaurants. If I told you that McDonald's is thinking about opening up a chain of restaurants that is going to have a very different experience. It's going to be a McDonald's where you actually sit down and someone comes to your table to take your order, and it's going to be expensive food. Yeah, I know, it's kind of hard to think about that without laughing, isn't it? Because that's not what McDonald's is in your brain. McDonald's is the fries, the inexpensive food, the fast food experience. It is not a sit-down restaurant. So therefore, you can look at the positioning concept and see McDonald's has a particular place in your mind, and it would be very, 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 very hard, if not impossible, for them to actually change that positioning. And this is something that companies have to take into account when they begin to market a product. You have to know where you want that product to be in a person's brain. Basically, what expectations do you want them to have for your product? Do you want them to expect, a nice sit-down experience, or do you want them to say, oh, okay, well, it's going to be a fast food type of experience? So what we're going to look at today is actually one company that decided to take its product and try to reposition it in the brains of its customers. So, what do you think when I say the word Gatorade?
Sometimes I dream that here's me. Got to see that's how I dream to be.
I dream I move, I dream I groove, like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
Like Mike, yeah. Michael Jordan was the spokesperson for Gatorade for many years, and I think he did a great job. My students complain and say that that music is kind of 80s and is dated, but I kind of like it. I think it's still got a nice little jingle to it. But Gatorade was originally developed in 1965 by two physicians, and they worked with the University of Florida. They were actually hired to develop a product that would help the Florida football players not get dehydrated and suffer from heat exhaustion while they were practicing. And we know how hot Florida is because, well, it's kind of like that hot here too. So they were looking for something that would basically be a rehydration product. And so they developed this drink. And it worked pretty well. And so other universities heard about it and they started wanting it. So 2 years later, Gatorade actually became available on the market. So like in 1967, it started being sold. Hence the Gatorade, Florida. Yeah, okay. Figured you knew that, but anyway. So it was originally marketed as a rehydration product, something that you're probably going to be drinking after you exercise. But Gatorade, a couple of years ago, decided that there was a market for something else with its products. I think it was trying to look ahead, and it said, okay, there are a lot of different needs that people have when they're exercising. That you have needs before you exercise, you have needs during, and you have needs after. And so what they wanted to do was to change their product line to make it more available for people who are exercising to use their products at different points in that exercise. So today I have 3 of their products, and we're going to look at them individually, and I'm going to explain just a little bit about what Gatorade decided to do. Okay, now we know about the big Gatorade rehydration stuff that most of us have consumed at some point. But now Gatorade doesn't even use the term Gatorade anymore on its products. It has what we call G series. The G looks like the G from the Gatorade, but it doesn't really say that. So what I have here is the G series Prime 01. This is the Gatorade product that is designed for athletes to consume before they go exercise. So this is supposed to prime your body for exercise. It's supposed to give you fuel, basically, to carry you through whatever exercise you're doing. The second product is called Gatorade G Series, and this is the Perform 02. So this is basically what you're supposed to consume while you're exercising. So this would be what you reach for, I don't know, on a hot day when you're out, playing tennis or football, or maybe during the middle of a basketball game. You're supposed to reach for this and drink it because it's supposed to rehydrate your body during exercise. Well, what about after you exercise, which is what I used to reach for Gatorade, right? Well, no. Now we have the G Series Recover 03. So the first one is G Series 1. The second one was G Series 2, and this is G Series 3. Yes. This is what you're supposed to drink after you exercise, because this is supposed to be the post-game protein recovery beverage. They actually have at least 1 or 2 other products that are also supposed to be post-exercise and replace the vitamins and the minerals that your body has used out. I only got these 3, but I think it gives you an idea that they've basically taken what we used to think of as one product and they've split it into several products that are actually supposed to be consumed at different points during exercise. So, thinking about what they've done, you have to say, okay, well, how's this working out for Gatorade? Well, in the beginning, it wasn't going very well. They had a couple of years in which their profits were really down. And so all these experts were saying, oh, well, Gatorade's really blown it. They're gonna tank. The company's going under because they did this change, and consumers don't understand it and they don't like it. And so it looked kind of bad there for a couple of years. And Gatorade has even taken some of the products that it had off the market. Like they had this G Series Fit, which I think was a product that was aimed primarily at people who use water to rehydrate after exercise. And so it was basically a Gatorade water product. And they took it off the market last year. They just stopped selling it because it wasn't going well. But I will say that their profits seem to have rebounded in 2012, and the company is very optimistic about the future. So now those same experts who were saying, oh, well, they're going to tank the company, are saying, oh, well, maybe what they've done is they have spotted a new type of niche in the market. And so now you see other companies that are starting to try to do the same thing that Gatorade has done in expanding its product line. So basically what people are thinking now is that Gatorade was kind of ahead of the curve in looking at hydration and fuel products at different points in the exercise process. And that serious athletes really do want more products at different points in their exercising. Now the question is this really going to go well for Gatorade in the long run? And nobody really knows that. I will say that it can be very difficult sometimes to find all of these products. It's like I went to Kroger and I bought these 3 products, and each one of these is about $1.50 to $2 a piece. This particular one right here was on sale for $1. So, but if you think about it, what we used to get for Gatorade, or what I usually buy for Powerade, sorry to say, is less than $2 for this particular size. But they want you to pay the $1 for the pre, and then the $1.50 for this one, or $2, and then also pay $2.50 for the recovery product. So you're looking at between $5 and $7, and in some places $10 of products. So Gatorade really wants their customers to pay more money. Another little thing that they've had that was probably holding this back somewhat is that it's hard to find these products all packaged together at the store, because Gatorade was pretty good at taking this sort of stuff and putting it at eye level so that customers could see it easily and they knew where it was. Well, you can still find this stuff, but if you go looking for this stuff, I had to really look. So you have to basically on a search and find mission in order to find it, because at most stores they don't want to give all the shelf space to 3 different Gatorade products, especially when a couple of them may not be selling all that well. So they've had some issues with actual convincing retailers to display them all together, because it takes quite a bit of space to do that. But I think that the real thing I want you to take away from this particular company and what's happened with it is I want you to take away that when you get positioned in a customer's mind, if you're a company or a product, then it's really, really, really hard to change it. Really hard. Because I just mentioned a minute ago, I get Powerade. And the reason I do that is because I used to get Gatorade, but now that Gatorade's made it a little more confusing for me, Powerade's just there. It's just easy to get it and pull it off the shelf. Some customers just don't want to go to the hassle of finding it. There are other people who are using the products and seem to like them a lot, but it has been a real issue for Gatorade to try to reposition its product in people's minds. And so therefore, the thing to do is when you begin a company or you begin promoting a product, you have to think ahead of time, what position do I want this to occupy in people's minds? If you don't, then it's possible it's going to get stuck somewhere, and if you ever need to change that positioning, it's going to be a real challenge to do it, because basically you can get stuck in people's minds in a particular place, and it's really, really hard to change it or to move it in any way. So I want you to take that concept away and remember this for the test.